Hello and welcome back to a new Hints and Theories video, this time to episode number 1 of the new season of the Belgian The Mall. First, I have to say that I've been thinking about this here for some days now because I knew that I wanted to continue doing Hints and Theories videos, but at the same time I of course also know that a lot of you people out there have struggles to have access to the episodes, and I of course can't do this here without risking to, well, spoil anyone, to have any spoilers in here. And yeah, then I just thought about if I should continue or not, but to be honest, first of all, I enjoy doing this here so much and I just want to have the communication with other people who love the show as well and who watch it as well. And also I know that there are some people out there who just love the show so much that they will really do so many things and will try so many ways to get access to the show. And then of course I also want you to have the chance to, well, talk about it, to communicate about it. And I also know that the majority of people watching my videos are from the Netherlands, and they of course have the way to watch the show via NPO Start. That's why I'm here, but the most important reason is because it's so much fun to be here and to talk about all the hints and theories, and that's why we start right now. If you've watched my last video, then you know that there was a huge question mark at the beginning of episode number 1, and that one was, who is the 10th candidate? And there were several theories. There was even the idea that it wouldn't be a real person but an artificial intelligence. And well, now we know it. It was a 10th person. It was neither artificial intelligence nor a twin, but a famous person. At least famous in Belgium, as far as I've heard it. There are several Dutch people who don't know Matteo, so it seems like he's very well known in Belgium, but not so much in the Netherlands. And that of course leaves us with the question if it is clever to mix a group of non-famous people with a famous person. And the Belgian Mall usually, stands for a group of non-famous people, not like the Dutch version where you have like more or less famous people. And yeah, that of course leads to some discussions, and I just don't want to go in on all of that. I just want to throw in one more thing into the discussion, and that is one, let's say, probable scenario that we could talk about, and that is, what if the idea that there's a famous person getting into the group, distracting all the candidates from the actual mall, and then leaving in episode number 1 was a scenario well planned from the production team. So I know that Matteo had to go through the whole process like all the other candidates. So Jill said in an interview, at least that's how I understood it, that they knew from several famous people that they would be interested in participating in the show, and then they called them and asked them if they would still be interested in it. But Theo and others said yes, and then they would have to go through all the steps a normal candidate has to go through. So it really seems like Matteo was just as any other candidate, but just imagine what if it was all planned out that he had to leave at the end of episode number 1. Then this would be like a fantastic option for the mall to work a bit in the background, because as you could see, the whole dynamic in the group changed when it was clear that it was the Matteo. So maybe it was a bit planned, and if not, then it worked brilliantly for the mall, because Matteo definitely was a very good cover-up and definitely was a good distraction for the other candidates and, well, just getting their thoughts away from the mall. Let's talk about task number 1, and let's start with that special part Lieselot and Toes had in that task. They were fighting for an exemption, and I've heard that some people think that because of the special way that part was planned, like the loser would be locked up in the hotel and not be part of the episode anymore, that this is why some people say, neither Lieselot nor Toast can't be the mole anymore because it would be too risky for the mole to be locked up in the hotel room and not be part of episode number 1. And I do understand that, but to be honest, I'm not so sure about it, simply because we know from older seasons that the Belgian moles are very well prepared. So I could imagine that the Belgian mole did get some shooting training, for example. And then, yeah, just to make sure that he or she would win the duel, which would be Toes in this case. Also, of course, when they knew they would go to Arizona and they asked all of the candidates so many questions, they could have asked them if they ever had any experience with shooting before the show or anything like that. And even if Lieselot is the mole and would be locked up in the hotel room, I still think that there's still a chance that she can still be the mole, but we will get to that when we talk about, well, task number 3. Of course, there are some more things about task number 1. For example, one very important thing was that you needed to decide with which item you wanted to measure the time. And in that case, Connie appeared to be suspicious. We've gotten to know her as someone who's very interested in maths and is like a little maths freak in a lovely way, I want to say. So she likes to play with numbers. And she does 2 weird things. The first thing is that she says that Usain Bolt needed 9 seconds 61, which isn't true, it were actually 9 seconds 58. And the second thing is that she says that they should just use 10. And yes, of course, that makes the whole counting a bit easier, but it also means that by using that 10 instead of 9 seconds 61 or actually 58, that also means that they would be too early at the finish. And then you would have to, well, kind of take that back out of the sum, and it makes it actually even more complicated than it is. And it does appear so weird because she is such a maths fan. If that would have come from any other candidate, then it would still be a bit suspicious, but in her case I think it's very suspicious that she is, well, just saying, oh, let's use 10 because she is such a maths freak. And also 2 other people appeared very suspicious in the task, and that were Ruben and Lancelot. First of all, because they left the girls behind at that first mini task, which meant that they left 1,000 euro behind because they thought they would have to, well, be quicker and get faster to the finish. And they also decided to press the button, which then turned out that they were way too early, and that meant that they didn't earn any money in the task at all. So it was actually their fault that they ended up with 0 euro in the pot after task number 1, and that would of course be a dream for them all, a dream start. And if we have a look at those 2 people, then I think Ruben is even a bit more suspicious because he was, well, responsible for carrying the hourglass most of the time, so he could have, played with the hourglass a bit too much maybe from time to time. And also during that task with the spider, Lancelot was pretty busy with that spider and Ruben stayed behind him, so that Lancelot's attention went from Ruben to the spider. And Ruben also had quite the problem with keeping balance and walking without moving too much, and he wasn't really helpful in that task at all. Let's jump to task number 2, the line dance and slackline one. And the first thought probably is that the mole would like to be in the line dance group, because there you could mole and also influence the other group very easily, just by, well, doing some wrong steps and then losing money and making it harder for the slackline group. But again, I think it's not necessarily that group that the mole would like to be in. Let's have a look at them first though. So the slackline group, probably the best place to mole there would have been the last and most complicated dance, which was taken by Connie and Thomas. So of course it makes it well, easier to maul if you have a complicated dance, and that means not 1,000 euro in the pot, and also making it harder for the last person in the slackline group who was the one with the most important part of the slackline group. And in that case it was Comfort, so by doing the wrong steps they kind of got the pick away from Comfort, making it harder for her to get the 3,000 euro into the pot. And that's why we jump to Comfort right now. She was the one with the, well, most important part in her group, and she failed at that. So actually the other three could have done and did a great job, but when she fails, 3,000 euro are gone. And that's why I think the mole could still be part of the slackline group as well, because it is very likely that the dancing group will mistakes, and that will make it harder for the slackline group. So I mean, the three candidates before Comfort did a brilliant job, but as a mole you can still fail that task by going as the last person, or you influence the group in a, well, good for the mole way by choosing someone as the last person who's either not so good at, well, balancing, at doing that slackline task, or is not tall enough, for example. So there are ways to mole in that slackline group as well. And also when you're part of the slackline group you have a very easy way to influence the other three and say like, oh my god, that dancing group, what are they doing? Why are they failing? It's making things for us way more complicated. So you can kind of gossip there and get the focus of, well, the candidates around you to the dancing group and just influence them by saying, oh my gosh, the dancing group, so bad, the mole has to be in that one. And last but not least, that special ending of the episode, let's call it task number 3, where they had to, well, either free or free not Lieselot from that caravan. And there we are with Lieselot again, and I just want to say that if the mole is in the house, which means Lieselot isn't the mole, then there would be 2 very likely options for the mole. Either not freeing Lieselot at all, which would mean no money in the pot, or freeing her pretty quickly so that she wouldn't have so much time of gaining money, which would then be added to the pot. And in the end, not freeing her at all wasn't an option for the group anymore, though there were some people who tried to get that, and I have to say the most suspicious one in that case was Samya. For me, because she was very interested in not freeing Lieselot, and she, well, mentioned that very loudly. And the second thing is, not freeing her so quickly also wasn't a possible option for the group as well, because they didn't want her to, well, get that much information out of them. So if the mole was in the house group, then it probably didn't turn out, well, as he or she wanted it. And now let's have a look at Lieselot and why she could still be the mole. Of course I understand that people say like, she was gone almost the whole episode, how can she be the mole? But yeah, maybe this is a tactic to get focus away from her. This is exactly what people think then. She can't be the mole, she wasn't there, so the focus wouldn't be on her anymore. That would probably a new way to, well, distract the group, distract the candidates, and just, well, give the mole the opportunity to work a bit in the background, in the hidden part of the group and the following tasks. And also, of course, she earned money, but if she's a mole, then she would know that they only had 500 euros so far, so really not that much compared to the amount they could have earned. And that, of course, gave her the opportunity to earn some money. And let's be honest, she won round about 900 euro, a bit more than that, and she could have earned 3,000, I think. So that's still not even half of the money she could have earned. And she also proved several times during that episode, although we didn't get to see that much of her, that she is very good at lying and at staying with her lies. She proved that one, for example, when she said them how much time they still had left to free her. Okay, that was quite a lot, but to be honest, it's always like that in the first episodes, because there are so many people so many new faces, so many new things to talk about, and I'm sure I missed out on a lot anyway, so definitely let me know in the comments down below what you've spotted, what you think is suspicious, and what I didn't mention here in the videos. And also tell me if you think if Lieselotte could still be the mole or not. And also tell me what you thought about Matteo as a famous person being part of the show. I'm definitely looking forward to reading all of your ideas, hints, theories, comments, whatsoever. And I really hope that you will subscribe to this channel here and check out my social media accounts as well. And yeah, we'll see each other back next week in the next Hints and Theories video to episode number 2. Until then, bye!